I'm appalled at what you said on that pod thing. It's disgusting.
This is the After the Show podcast. It's where we get honest and real with yo ass. So sit back, relax, have a blast, because it's time for the After the Show podcast.
Alrighty, hello and welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast. What is going on, y'all? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Yes, we're past do it, bitch, so that's good.
Okay,
The
that's your whole
stress
thing.
of the week is over.
Yes.
It wasn't too bad of a punishment, was it? Was it bad?
I mean, it was gnarly for the taste, but as far as the taste, it wasn't worth saying we've done. I think it's just, to me, it's the fear of how old are those condiments that have been sitting in your hot vehicle for a very long time, and how do they age? Some of them could be a couple years, some of them very expired.
Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe you won't back me up. Wouldn't you say coming up with punishments, especially for a bit like that, becomes quite a challenge? Because there's only so many punishments you can do, and then sometimes they can be really next level, and then at other times you're like, that was fucking lame. Oh my gosh, you ate a piece of corn.
Don't read the comments.
No, it's not that you read, but I don't want to be a person, too, that doesn't listen to your audience and have my head in the sand, too. Don't listen to dicky comments that aren't constructive. You got to listen to shit of people who really do care about the show and want it to be better. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I trust my gut.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great thing. You should.
Sometimes you do shit that's great, and sometimes you do shit that's not as great.
Yeah, I was just asking, is that a challenge? I think that's an interesting question to ask.
Yeah, they are definitely a challenge. And here's what it is, for people that, because when you get in the moment, I think as you're a spectator, it makes you realize, as you sit there and you judge things and critique, sometimes you got to be on the other side of it to kind of see why you made these choices. And for us, some of it, people are like, hey, why don't they run across the street of the racetrack, things like that. Now, there's a couple things that are always the guardrails that kind of keep us to where we are. One is we're in a new era of getting sued. And so sometimes some of the stuff we do where we demand someone to interact and, on the streets and things like that, you have to get permission. Florida, you can't have any of the audio. You can get sued for that.
People will sue you or shoot you.
Not to mention, too, just on a technical level, just me going over to a racetrack.
Right.
The internet can go down, then people get pissed off about the internet. Sometimes a great moment will happen and nothing's caught because the racetrack internet's fucked up or something has gone on technical, and then you don't get to see it, and then people get frustrated on that, and that's tricky too.
Sure. Yeah, so you might not get anything with that. And then the whole show is now that. What you're over there trying to do. And if you can't get a hold of them or the audio drops off, then you've really taken a big part of the show, and it's a big steaming turd. And so, it's a risk reward kind of thing. And when we do those things, I would say 20% of the time they pan out into something awesome.
Yeah.
But I would say probably 60 to 80% of the time it's kind of falls flat, or there's nothing really great, or it takes way too long.
When you're talking about going out into the wild, doing it is very challenging, because there'll be times where I'll have something going on in the moment, but you and Virginia are already in a segment.
Yeah.
So you're not even in that. You're not mentally there with the stunt. You're trying to get through that topic. And I'm going, Kevin, the guy's strangling me right now. You got to get it. And it makes it so challenging.
And that's why, now after doing it for as long as we've been doing it, the best way to do it is just to go and record it. And sometimes that does kind of fall flat. You're like, okay, by tomorrow, you've got to have this video or whatever you do. And so sometimes people go, well, that sucks because I want to hear the punishment now. And so those are all the things that you factor into it. What can you do that's here, that's easy, is going to be something? And, that has to do with things you can do within the confines of this building.
I just think the game, Do It Bitch, is a fun game to play.
Yeah.
But no, I hear what you're saying. You got to be able to decipher shitty comments who just want to make you feel bad and like an asshole. And then there are people who are really going, hey, what if you guys did this, who really love the show, and they're just trying to make it better.
Sure.
Those are two different kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fuck the mean comments.
And Kevin loves when we get suggestions, because sometimes some of the greatest punishments have been a suggestion that somebody said, hey, do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be. Yeah, I mean, that's why I love having kind of open-ended brainstorming sessions where people can kind of jump in, because as you sit down with it, my wife does this all the time. She's got too many ideas. She always has ideas. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, you don't love it. I'm like, well, here's the thing. Like, in my head,
Practical Kev.
well, it's just, look, I've been doing this long enough that immediately as they happen, I start rolling up, okay, yeah, and now you've got challenges, you got this or that, or it's like, there's not much stuff out there that I have not attempted.
There's certain things that the reason why they don't get done is because you've already worked it through in your head 3 steps before.
Yeah.
You've already gone through that fire. You've been burned by that fire.
Yes.
And you don't want to get burned by that fire.
Right.
And that is something that it's challenging for some people to understand, but that does happen.
Well, the earlier days in our show, we've even talked about this, and it's something that we try to figure out. We had, some big moments that we absolutely love. They're kind of those cornerstones of the show. But the thing that most people don't remember, and I think I do because I dealt with the pain of how many shitty bits we had in between all that. We were very much, we'd hit some home runs, but man, we had a lot of strikeouts. There was just a lot of stuff that didn't work, that was just terrible, that went nowhere, and it was long. I remember doing bits that were 50 minutes long of audio, and there was no payoff. Like, just god-awful.
The one that, for some reason, I don't know why, I can, there's certain videos that I love that we've done, can never find them. They're never in the algorithm. The one that always pops up is when we did like a 17-minute version of Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board.
Sure, right.
And it was a shitty bit.
Yeah.
And it was long.
Right.
But of course, that's the one that always shows up in the fucking algorithm.
Of course.
Terrible. And we had a lot of those. And so, for me, all those losses that we had, they're still tucked away in the back of my head. And I may not be able to recall exactly why, but when I hear something, I'm like, okay, I immediately am like, all right, here are the challenges. And if we get through it, I'm like going, okay, look, and I still believe in taking risks. That we got to, throw it against the wall and it might suck. We played a game yesterday. I didn't know how it was going to work. It might completely suck. And I throw it out there and be like, we're going to give it a shot. But
I loved it.
it's a lot more thought through. We used to throw crap out there and just not even care if the audience was into it or not. We're like, you know what? We're doing it. We're young. We don't care. And so we did a lot of that. So yeah, we had some big moments and we want to get some of those back, but we just want to do it in a way where we don't have to sacrifice the entire rest of the show. And that used to be what KVJ was like. You might have one big moment, but 85% of the show was god-awful.
You had to wade through a lot of turds.
There was a lot of, it was a bowl of turds.
Bowl of turds with maybe one little nugget.
You know what? It was like dropping your phone in the shitter. Just full of diarrhea. And you would have to be like, if I want that phone, I got to stick my hand down through there and feel around to pull that thing out. Is it worth it to you?
And you also bring up a good point. Legally, things have changed on a great, fucking scale.
It's a scarier world.
It's just, you can't even do 80% of the shit we would used to do.
We'd have been sued / jailed for a lot of the stuff that we used to do. So, yeah. So
and some of us wouldn't do that well in jail.
No, you're right about that. I know it. And so, that's kind of where we are. So it's, kind of trying to do everything so that it makes sense and not sacrificing the rest of the show for it. So, yeah, we're trying to do that. And then a lot of it is just pre-recording stuff. And the issue that we have right now is just we don't have enough staff. We really don't. We need more people because of everything we're trying to do. And, I got luckily my buddy is trying to help us out a bit. And he was coming from a show that was syndicated that had all the little bells and whistles that we do. He had a staff of 14. We have 4 people.
He had a budget.
14 people.
Big budget.
Yeah. So they had that. We're trying to stay on pace, to do the kind of stuff that a show of that caliber was doing with a third of the people. And it does make it challenging. So, I would have loved to have been out the Little Smiles golf tournament yesterday, but, you're home editing all day long. There's just no time to do any of that kind of stuff that, it'd been fun to make a video and all this and that, but at what expense?
There is time when it's like 10, 15 p.m. Like, oh, cool, let me sit down and watch some
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big part of the challenges. But, we're trying to figure it out. And we're hoping one day we can start adding some of these pieces that can do more of the manual stuff. Like it sucks that, you got to do the editing in the afternoon, but you got to. Hopefully one day we'll have somebody that can do that. That'd be one person.
That would be awesome.
Well, Losing Suits, that was a lot of what Suits did. Suits was that guy. And, that was the whole position we lost. When we went from 5 to 4, it meant, all right, somebody's got to pick up the slack.
And we all edit. We all just edit different things, but it really is a non-stop fucking animal. Editing is it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean, the way the show is now, and I know a lot of people are this way, but yeah, you work, all day, every day for 6 days out of the 7. And that's just the reality of it, to do what you want to do.
And I keep sending Suits videos to edit. He's not doing it.
That motherfucker. He's not working.
He's just close to getting fired.
Would that be awesome if somehow...
If I called him up, fired him, he'd be so confused. Like, Suits, but you haven't done your job for 2 fucking years, dude. You're fired.
He said, well, Kev, I keep getting this check from Hubbard. What's going on?
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. And Skate to Beach said, y'all were shorthanded when Suits was there. That's true.
It's true. It is very true.
To do what we want to do, I would say we need 7 to 8 people working longer than they should hours.
That's why I always say, guys, it's free.
Right. Yeah. So we're trying our best. But I do love the feedback, because it's not that I ignore any of the advice that people give or what the demands are and what they want out of it. I'm like, okay, how can we do that with what we have?
There's a difference between giving us an idea for the show and then calling somebody a dick face motherfucking loser cunt.
Okay.
That's busy.
That is very busy.
There's a difference, is what I'm saying.
So
Sorry, I should have said the C word.
So if people do have any suggestions, we do love them, and we welcome them. And just think about things that you can do quickly and easily. Things like the Denny's Epilady thing. That was great, ripping your arm hair out. I'm getting ready to order something that takes out the nose hair. So if we have 2 guys that lose, Virginia won't have that. It's a waxing thing. You put it in there, you twirl it around, it takes out every nose in your nostril.
Damn.
Like that.
I mean, I do have nose hair.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll order that. We'll all play.
I found a gray one the other day.
Okay.
I was horrified.
Okay.
A gray nose hair peeking out.
I
gross.
could have swore, I don't know if I dreamt it. I thought I wrote a song about you having a gray nose hair about 2 years ago, and I can't find it anywhere. No one can find it. And then I think it might have been not your nose hair. I think I wrote a song about your armpit smelling. Like you were.
I think you did the armpit smelling, and I think I had sent you an email about we should write a song about Virginia's nose hair, because I was looking into it.
I just submitted the nose hair idea recently.
I could have swore I wrote the nose hair, and you're right. It was your armpit, because you were doing. It was when you were having that terrible deodorant.
Yes, that's what you did, and then I
The
said
organic deodorant that doesn't work.
That makes. Oh my gosh, I feel so much better, because I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah, because I love that. One of the favorite bangers, and it is a nice tool to help, is the AI music that you can do. That and Jaybird had to work it harder than just typing it in, but the Magnolia song is fantastic. The one about the full moon sensitivity.
Yes.
I think it's a great song.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I
love
fucking hate AI. I hate it, but that's a different conversation for a different time.
That worked out well. But yeah, the songs are fun, and so that's something that we can do and do well.
To your point, that the Magnolia song, that wasn't just hitting the button. I had to sit down. I had to come up with chords. I had to write down the words, and it took work to do that. It wasn't just me going A, B, and it's done. And I think there's a misconception on that.
Yeah, I was going to write one for the courtship of the Queen from the story that I had, and I started writing it in, and then I got 20, 30 minutes into it, and I'm like, this is going to be a project, because when it spit out wasn't that good. I'm like, all right, this will take a while.
It gives you more work. You're like, no, motherfucker, what are you doing?
Yeah, this isn't right.
Claude, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Ganymer said my favorite is the V is Wrong song. Yeah, so I love all those. So we'll keep cranking those out. And those are
that's not AI. That's a real song,
right? And those are the best ones. But yeah, the songs that we have on the show are unique, and I do love that.
That's what musicians do now when they upload.
It's not AI.
That's how everyone uploads their songs now. Here's a song I wrote, not AI.
Yeah.
FAI.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a movement with musicians going, fuck AI, man.
I get it.
Of course you get it.
They're trying to sort all that out. I think they're going to get to a place where you're going to have to put a logo on it, a label on it. And I think that's where most people want it. And some people are still going to like the AI music. And it's fine. Honestly, there's some AI songs that I've listened to, and I got a friend that makes them. And I'm like, I would listen to these normally. They sound great. They are AI, but I still like them, and I would listen to them. But at the same time, I also want real music, and I want to know the difference.
Yeah.
So let me know.
Well, it kind of, and maybe I am just different when it comes to this stuff. And I am different because I've heard other people not really give a shit. But I always use like Billy Joel for an example. I loved Billy Joel because he wrote songs from his own perspective, his own original.
Yeah.
It made me like him as a person. And I think that's, even when I find out a comedian does not write their entire set, they have a team, I'm like, you have a fucking team to write your act? It takes it away from me. I'd rather hear a comedian get up there and give their perspective of what they see in society. When I find out I had 7 guys or 7 women help me write these jokes, I'm like, who fucking can't do that?
Do you think anybody, for instance, like Dave Chappelle writes his jokes? Do you think he has side writers?
I think Dave Chappelle is absolutely an original. I do not think he has got a team. I'm not saying in his career someone didn't give him some advice about a joke and then he used it as a premise, but Dave Chappelle is a legit comedian. Dave Chappelle can go on stage and just start talking. Like D.L. Hughley, when I saw D.L. Hughley go and just tear up an entire audience off the top of his dome.
Yeah, right.
That is so impressive. It's such a skill set that you can't teach. Like you're so talented on that level.
You're just that good.
Yeah, you're that good. And but to have 9 people write that, I'm like, it's just not as. For me personally, I think it's whack. But what the fuck do I know?
No, I agree with you. You want to know it's the genuine feelings and thoughts of the individual delivering it.
Well,
and if you know that they have a team of 7 writers, but they're up there doing stand-up like it was their experience, it does lose some of its charm.
Well, Nikki Glaser got, so many accolades, and she did a great job for the Tom Brady roast. She did a great job, but she had a team help write her set. Now, if she wrote that herself, I'm like, that's fucking amazing. But I think other people on that day has also had people writing. Those roasts have become a business.
Yeah,
they have.
There was kind of some backstage footage that Serena and Venus were making, and you wouldn't be surprised, but it kind of the era of it. I don't know if they stated it specifically in that video, but you could kind of tell that their jokes have been written for them, which you would expect. Do you think Jeff Ross is writing every joke he has, or is that part of a team?
Jeff Ross is absolutely writing all of his jokes. I
thought so too.
Fuck yeah.
I thought so too.
I think comedians, they're like anybody. They will go over notes and say, hey, Kev, I'm working on this premise. Do you think it's pretty funny?
Yeah.
It goes A, B, and C.
Right.
What are your thoughts? But it's their idea, and they're leaning on one of their homies to maybe help. But yeah, I know that guy's original. That guy takes pride in being the roast master.
Yeah, I've kind of sensed that as well. It is an interesting thing to say. And I think what's going to be interesting with a lot of these creatives is the demand for creativity and how much you have to crank out content, what that is going to do with it. Because there seems like there is just now, and look, I feel with radio, we got to do a 4-hour show, then a podcast every single day, 5 days a week, and you're just trying everything you can to try to keep up with you. Like, oh, we got to do a bitch punishment. I got to have this. I got to have that. I got to have this. I got to have that. I have this. And so, you're like saying, look, there's just no way. There's an avalanche of work to be done. And I'm wondering with some of these agents, managers, and things like that, with some of this talent, will be like, dude, you got to crank out more content. They start feeling the pressure. And then
they do.
What do you start doing? You start cheating a bit, right? Or you find shortcuts, or you like, okay, I put it under my brand, but how do I meet this demand that is on me for content to try to cut through all this noise that's out there today?
That's why a lot of stand-up comedians started doing podcasts. COVID, for a while, people were making bank off their podcast. Now, I get, every time I bring this up, people give me a pushback. The numbers do not lie. I'm just telling you, comedians that are doing regular podcast daily or 4 times a week, their numbers have gone down. Their ticket sales are going down. Now, that's not every comedian. Dave Chappelle's not going to have a tough time selling tickets. Bill Burr's not going to have a tough time selling tickets. But there are your comedians that are good, that are known. They're taking a hit, and they are overexposed. They don't realize some of these podcasts take work. You have to have topics.
Sure. And do you know the ones that are doing daily? Because that's what's intriguing to me is how much they're cranking out. Because are they daily? Are they weekly? And how many hours? Because that's what I look at.
Yeah, I know that. Don't get me on as far as daily. I know comedians like your Brian Callens, like a lot of Joe Rogan guys will do stuff at least 3 times a week. They're doing podcasts. But I think the knock on the podcast with a lot of them, they're just saying the same stories and they're talking about the process of being a comedian. And people are going, all right, that's cool. We like to hear about the process, but now tell some jokes and make us laugh. And that's kind of fallen away a bit.
See, what I was curious with is when you put KVJ in a YouTube world or a podcast world, it's the same as anybody else that's out there.
Yeah.
You know, people don't know or they don't care that we're on the radio. They're like, all right, whatever. It's just content. We do a minimum of 12 and a half hours every single week. And it's all brand new content, 12 and a half. And so I'm curious, in that world, what is the average amount? Because I've seen some of the comedians and they do an hour to 90 minutes a week. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so we do 12 and a half. They're doing 90 minutes.
There's some comedians that you could tell they're becoming disgruntled doing a podcast because they're making money off the podcast. It is a source of income, but there's nothing for them to say. They're saying the same things over. Yeah. Some do a podcast by themselves at times, and and these are people that are considered good professional comedians, and it can get real shitty.
But just to have new content.
Just
and
to have new content. And sometimes they'll go an extra amount of time to reach a timestamp so they get more money. See what I'm saying? And just because you're going longer doesn't mean it's better.
No, a lot of them wind up fizzling out. And then a lot of them are just reliant on the guests now. And it is interesting that they have that circuit where they're just so that's easier for them. When you have these guests, they're on there. And what they're coming to you with is talk about all this. This stuff's going to be funny. And so in a sense, they have their guest with all the talking points they have to do. They do one of those a week. That goes for 90 minutes, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours tops. And that's a lot easier play than to try to do 12 and a half hours where all your segments are 6 to 8 minutes. And you're doing 20 of those every day.
And
that's a lot of content.
Grifting's a big word people use too. I just think that a lot of people are savvy. You know, your audience isn't stupid. They're going to see through shit. And if you are selling, when we do an endorsement, we really believe in what we're talking about. I just think that there's a knock on some of the podcasters that they are promoting stuff that you can tell, like in their eyes, by the way they read it, they don't believe in it.
They're not using it.
And it's losing trust with their audience. And now people are just going, well, if I can't fucking believe you about this, I'm getting turned off now, baby. I think the ones that do well are the ones that are funny, that stay light, a lot of these comedians got into politics and they got you start to split your audience when that shit happens. It's just the way entertainment goes.
Typically when you go down that path, it depends upon how your approach is. If you really jump all in on one side, then you're going to lose the other half.
And there's some comedians that do it, that just get in there. Like Harlan Williams, he'll talk about politics if you ask him about him.
Yeah.
But typically he gets in there. You know Harlan Williams is.
I love him.
He's there to be
He's quirky,
fucking
funny dude.
goofy.
Yeah.
Goofy and just make you kind of laugh. That's his brand. But he also said, if you ask me about politics, I'll give you my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Which I think you should.
He did that cartoon that Rocco was obsessed with, that Puppy Dog Pals.
Yes.
That's his. And wow, I think he makes a good bit of coin off that.
Him and Tom Green remind me a lot. Tom Green's got his own, he built his own podcast place out in Canada, and it's so cozy looking. It's a log cabin.
Yep.
And he seems like he's a cool dude, Tom Green.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've ever had him on. I don't remember having a conversation. I think maybe we did way back in the day. We talked to Tom Green. He seemed cool, and yeah, he's always kind of had that. I like that he's just, going to the beat of his own drum, and he was a pioneer. What is crazy, if you've ever seen that clip where Joe Rogan was on his show, and he's like, so wait a minute, so you set this whole thing up in your house, and you could see the wheels turning for Joe Rogan.
Joe's like, wait a minute.
So you got this all set up and you're doing this on your own. You are producing your own stuff. You're sending it out there. You don't have to work through a company or anything. You're your own man.
You own it, you sell it, you distribute it.
Yes, and you could just see it spinning, and that really is, arguably the largest podcaster on the planet, really kind of got his idea. You could see it planting with Tom Green there in his studio.
There's a little bit of debate on that. He also, Opie and Anthony claim that Joe Rogan gives them credit for being the first person to kind of do a podcast, because I don't know how much you guys remember Opie and Anthony, but they would just do long form, and it basically was a podcast for about 4.5 with zero censorship on satellite. And Rogan's been, he said that at some point, but then you've also heard him say it was Tom Green. So who fucking knows?
I mean, all it really is it's the delivery system more than the concept.
Yeah,
I mean, the
for
concept
sure.
with talk radio, you'd be like, Howard Stern was, so yeah, you could argue all that.
Speaking
But
of,
I would say the distribution part of it, not the talking part of it, is what you could see Joe Rogan saying, wait a minute, I can own the because it always was, even before. It was Sirius XM, it was whatever Howard's company was. So it was, you always had to have that big partner, and that's what's radically different now, is that you can be your own man and your own distribution person if you got the fan base.
and I'm talking Tom Green modern. Back in the day, he was a little bit more,
Wacky.
He's not. I mean, he's still wacky. He's dialed it back, which has made him a lot more, I think.
He makes more sense.
Yeah, he's easier.
He used to make not a lot of sense.
He's easier to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's more palatable.
He is out there. There are some people that they're hit or miss. I think everybody's that way, and some people have a better batting average than others, where they have reliably more hits than misses, but everybody's got a batting average.
It was pretty funny because he was on, and the big thing with Joe Rogan is when he has comedians on, the comedians they're that's a big shot for them. So they're trying to do material and be funny. Sometimes Rogan doesn't even get the joke, and he was interviewing Harlan Williams, and Harlan Williams was just being a fucking goofball on Joe Rogan, and I don't think Joe Rogan was getting it, which made it that much more funnier. Like Harlan Williams was pulling out props that didn't make sense, and Rogan's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah. Well, in broadcast, this is an interesting week as Stephen Colbert is wrapping up The Late Show. It's all done. He's got big guests. He's got Jon Stewart, Steven Spielberg, Bruce Springsteen. A lot of the usuals are coming by. But his last 4 episodes and his final one is going to be, I guess, on Thursday. And the guy that's taken over for him, I don't know much about. His name is Byron Allen.
Oh, yeah, I know Byron Allen. That guy's been around forever.
And I saw an interview with him over the weekend, and it's a very interesting story. This is a guy that grew up, I think it might have been Detroit, back in probably like the 60s, 70s, and they had, some violence going on in the city, race riots or whatever it might have been. His mom said, forget this, let's go on a vacation to LA. It was going to be 2 weeks, and they wound up just staying.
Wow.
Sleeping on couches, and she was very, she would work and go into some of the studios and say, just let me be an internship. And they're like, well, we don't do interns. She'd be like, let me be your first. And she did that. And so he grew up then on the Johnny Carson set and was just seeing people, and he really studied Johnny Carson, and that's where he got his break. Johnny Carson put him on. He was 19 years old doing stand-up comedy, and that's why he insisted on starting his show as he takes over for Stephen Colbert coming up this Friday, because it was May 22nd back in 1992 when Johnny Carson did his very last show. And he said, because they're like, start in September. He's like, no. He said, I'm starting the very next night. And they're like, well, you can't do that. He's like, I am doing that. I guess he's buying the time too.
But Byron Allen used to do this show where he'd have about 5 or 6 comedians on. It'd be on late night. And it's kind of a weird format because all of the comedians had all of their jokes locked and loaded, but they tried to make the conversation seem like it was natural. So it'd be like, so Kevin, you tell me about this horse you were. So horses have the biggest dicks ever.
Yeah,
and you'd
it's
go into
kind of like Hollywood Squares.
Yes.
Where they were loaded with jokes, you could tell, and they
were
led
loaded.
them into them. Yeah, because they weren't that quick. They were there, and they were always, but it was a good formula. And so it'll be interesting to see what this guy does as he takes over on Friday. But he is now a media entrepreneur.
Oh,
that's what late night's going to be.
That guy has been around. I remember in the 90s coming home and watching his show back in the day.
Yeah, and now he owns his own networks and all that stuff. I mean, the guy's just, taking the lead from his mom, who shouldn't have known what she knew, but he went in there and he just learned. It's going to be interesting. He's a pretty fascinating dude.
I just saw a PSA from him from the 80s. It's so funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's been around.
From the 80s?
From the 80s. It was a PSA with him talking about not doing drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, he is the founder of the American media company, Allen Media Group, which has interests in television production, broadcasting, film, and digital media. So he's kind of his own dude. And in a sense, look, he's just using CBS for that stick and that power. For him to buy into that. That was stuff that they used to do on AM radio where you could buy your show.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
How wild is that? And so CBS is looking at saying, okay, so we get rid of Stephen Colbert's salary. We don't have to pay 200 people that he had on staff. And you're going to pay us for that time slot? All right, let's give it a shot.
And he's got a name. And maybe a lot of people don't know who he is. I just remember growing up with him.
People got to realize these media companies are in it for money. They really are. They're not like, no, that's not true art form. The Colbert Show is going to be funnier and more original, so we're going to lose money on it. They don't care. They want to make money.
Did you like the show Hollywood Squares, or did you think it was corny as fuck?
I thought it got corny. There were a couple of jokes like, all right, I was amused by some of it, but then you realized
everybody had a quip.
Yeah. It was very quippy. And
All right, Bruce Valanche.
Hey, Valanche always had a quip.
Valanche.
Oh, Valanche always had a quip.
You know that shit was pre-written.
Of course it was.
Valanche was not coming up with that.
It's kind of like when Jimmy Fallon sings a song with Ariana Grande. Oh, let's spin the wheel and sing about an octopus eating pizza in Rome. Oh my gosh, let's do a song about it.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting story to follow to see what that does to continue to shape media and see where it's going to be heading in the future. But the Byron Allen Show, whatever they're going to be doing with it, starts on Friday, looks like. Now, I know Denny's was just in a rage today about the price of the PlayStation subscriptions. Apparently, they're going up by $1, $10.99, like everything else, right?
It's a subscription now? You don't just have it in your house as a...
It's the business models that a lot of these media companies want. And they do. I say media company now because they blur the game. They do video games, they do shows, they do podcasts, they do everything. It's just a whole thing now. You don't have companies specialize. It seems like they do a little bit of everything and hedge their bets and hope they get a hit somewhere. It really is about finding hits. So the subscription is big. A lot of people will pay it and then they forget about it, and it's easy money. And also, too, they can predict their finances. When they know they've got so many subscriptions, then you can project what your company is going to be making. And that's better if you are traded publicly. You can let your stockholders know, well, we're locked in for this we can project this kind of revenue. That's why they love subscriptions. But then the prices just keep going up, and you have to decide, do I cancel other subscriptions? Now, they say that Angry Birds has just been inducted to the World Video Game Hall of Fame.
Deserves it.
Yeah, it seems like
it's not enough time.
Over 5 billion downloads since 2009.
It's a monster.
And again, they've done films. The Angry Bird movie released in 2016. They did a sequel in 2019. And the movie, the third version of the movie, is coming out this year in December.
It's what people call me when I don't get my nap.
Angry Bird.
Oh, Angry Bird's coming out. Go to bed. Take a nap.
What are the video games that have been big enough that they've had a movie made out of them? You got Angry Birds, Super Mario.
Yep, Super Mario, Tron.
Tron, yeah. I'm trying to remember. Was that a movie first or a video game? I think it was a video game, right? Even in the 80s.
I don't know. Friday the 13th, they've made video games on, but
okay, then you know the movie was first.
The movie was first.
Yeah, to me it would be the reverse.
Okay,
a video game that was so big they made a movie on. I've got
Street
two.
Fighter, was that a movie?
I figure I just keep fucking up your bit, Kev.
They did do it. Now, yeah, it's just a question. Because I'm trying to think. Yeah, Street Fighter, I think video game first on that.
Pac-Man?
I don't remember. Did they do a Pac-Man movie? They might have. And it was terrible.
A cartoon, maybe.
They did do a cartoon.
Yeah.
I remember watching the cartoon. I don't remember the cartoon, but there is something that's jumping out in my head. Yes, they did a Pac-Man, the movie.
Donkey
I thought so in
Kong.
2012.
Donkey Kong? What about Minecraft?
Yeah, somebody's saying Minecraft. Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Sonic. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog. That's right. That was big. See, I mean, look at this stuff. That's what they want, though. When you get a successful brand, how do we freaking bastardize this thing on every single platform? Make it TV shows, movies, songs.
Denny's really does. He always talks about how he feels like there's so many movies in Hollywood that have just been done over. There's no new ideas, it seems like, or they reboot. He goes, when it comes to video games, that's where you're seeing the best and most original story writing out right now. Yeah.
I know they put a lot into it.
He goes, the soundtracks are amazing, the music's great, and the storyline. And he tells me some of these storylines. These are great fucking storylines, man. Like where you'd go, I'd love to see a movie based on that.
What kind of games have that you play? You're not talking about like a Grand Theft Auto. There's not.
No,
that's not a storyline.
Denny's, what's the one you play that it's you always say make a great movie and it's real depressing and people are dead and shit?
Yeah, there's a bunch, but things that have been adapted, like The Last of Us, they made a TV series out of. That is a fantastic story.
Oh yeah, and that was a video game first.
That was a video game first, yeah.
Okay.
Uncharted also became again, sometimes what's weird is they'll take a video game that has an awesome story and then they'll make a different story for the movie.
That is
and it
weird.
kind of is loose, and it you just go, well, you lost everything that made the game great. Why would you change that?
That's how you piss off a fan base.
That is kind of stupid. Maybe they thought like, well, they already know the story. But again, what you want to do is have somebody that maybe loves the story and might dabble in video games and be like, I'm going to play it because I love that storyline.
Or keep it close enough to keep the original audience, and then maybe change a couple things, or maybe get some extra context that didn't make it into the game.
Oh, there's nothing that pisses me off more when you take a story that's already been established and then they add in shit that never happened just to be fucking different. I'm like, stop.
Well, so one movie that's coming out soon, and I'm like pretty lukewarm on, is Elden Ring, which is probably one of my favorite games of all time. They're making a movie about it. I just don't know what they're going to do for the story. It looks like from the screenshots and stuff, it looks like they're kind of just going to retread the game story, but I guess a prequel to before the game. I don't know. It's going to mess up everything. I think it's going to probably bomb. I don't know.
Denny's, do you need some cold water? So you sound like you're running a little hot.
I told you, the rage is real.
Yeah. I mean,
The rage is real.
Poor guy. Fan this guy down.
But yeah, the trend I noticed what they're doing is they're taking the IP, they're taking something that's big like Super Mario Brothers, Sonic the Hedgehog, whatever it is, and then they change the story to something completely different and usually a comedy.
It's weird.
So kind of like that new Anaconda movie that just dropped. It's not really about like the original Anaconda. It's about two guys who want to recreate the Anaconda experience. So it's a comedy about them wanting to redo what was in the movie Anaconda.
Would you say that we have already been through the golden age of video games? We're in it now, or it's still coming up?
I think we've already gone through it, and I've had this conversation with Bird before. I noticed it with movies. They started repeating stories. Things got kind of, whatever was working was the only thing anyone was going to take chances on.
So what was the golden age then of video games if we've passed it?
I'd say golden age of video games would be 1999 to, I'd say, 2015.
As a kid, because everyone seemed to have gotten a Nintendo system but us, so we were late to the game. And when I got it for my birthday, I remember sitting in 6th grade, because that's when I got it, and looking at the clock and having butterflies in my stomach going, I can't fucking believe I have a Nintendo. I'm about to go save the princess.
I got to get out of this place.
It took me all summer to save the princess, and when I did, I started to shake and lose control, and my sister started making so much fun of me. Like, you fucking pussy! What are you shaking for? You saved the princess.
I saved the princess.
And then she told my friend who saw me do it, it's like, hey, don't tell your other friend he was doing that. This looks so lame. But I all summer long, I came so close, and when I finally beat the princess, it meant so much to me.
Did you beat her or save her?
I saved her. Yeah, I beat the princess.
I saved her and then I beat her ass.
Damn.
Woman.
Did you know that Qbert had a TV show?
That's some whack shit. That is some old.
No, what year and where was that?
It's a 17-episode series.
Yikes.
An animated Qbert cartoon.
Even the artwork looks shitty. You would see it in Blockbuster or at a movie store and go, I'm not fucking watching that shit.
Oh, that's what you can get me for my birthday.
You would hate that. You would like it, but you wouldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It would stay right there by your menopause fan.
Go nowhere. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for the feedback. We always do appreciate it, truly. You can send it to us. Any suggestions, any thoughts you got, mail at kvjshow.com. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.